What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Carolina Barbecue Festival's 5th anniversary will be the Queen City's biggest barbecue party yet. 30 pitmasters, 3 big events, and it all gets started with the barbecue brunch, brisket and biscuits. Expert barbecue pitmasters team up with Charlotte's top chefs to create a curated food event in partnership with Savor Charlotte. Brisket and Biscuits, March 28th at Town Brewing in Charlotte. Reserve your tickets right now at carolinabbqfest.org. To discover other features in Savor Charlotte's March culinary adventure, visit the Eat and Drink menu at charlottesgotalot.com. And one of the featured chefs at this year's Brisket and Biscuits barbecue brunch is executive chef of Community Matters Café in Charlotte. He's recently been recognized as one of Q City Metro's Great 28 of Charlotte, Unpretentious Palate's People's Choice Award winner for Uplifting Industry Member in 2025. And last year, he was also named semifinalist for the James Beard Foundation Awards. Kyle Johnson, welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all having me.
We're so excited to talk with you today. I've given you kind of a fanfare introduction and all well-deserved, but I want to take a moment and let you introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah. I want to first, Sugar, thank you. I appreciate it. Glad to be on. Like you said, name is Kyle Johnson. Despite what the spelling looks like, it is pronounced Kyle. And yeah, so originally I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Started culinary school really young, started culinary school at 12. Got to work and train under a lot of great chefs, Frank Brightson, Dana Toohey, Emeril Lagasse, Alon Shaya, and really cut my teeth in New Orleans as a kid. Ended up getting a scholarship to attend Johnson & Wales from Emeril, which is how I ended up here in Charlotte at Charlotte's Johnson & Wales campus. Been here for the last 11 years. I moved up here in 2015. Went through school, got my associates in culinary, bachelor's in food service entrepreneurship. And yeah, just kind of start straight into the industry right after that. Worked around a little bit, was at the Asbury. For those that remember the Asbury, I was a line cook and a sous chef at the Asbury. And then had after about a year and a half there, a friend of mine who was the general manager at the Asbury left to open up a new restaurant concept that was coming from Charlotte Rescue Mission. And ended up being Community Matters Cafe, and I was recommended to move over on that side. And so I really I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I love the mission of what Charlotte Rescue Mission Community Matters was aiming to do, and I really wanted to be a part of it. So I moved over as a line cook over at a Community Matters Cafe in 2019. And yeah, just been building a moving train ever since. So now I've been here in Charlotte for 11 years, been at Café. I'll be celebrating 7 years at the Café in April. I started the week that we opened. And yeah, just really, really enjoying the ride, really loving Charlotte, being able to call it home now, and being able to help people while, still being able to make food and build community.
Yeah, a great introduction there. I couldn't have said it better myself. So when I did give you the introduction, a lot of recognition there in 2025, a big year for you. You feel like with that success, are you reaching some peaks, or are you still climbing out there?
I think it all depends on how you look at it. I think in a lot of elements, I'm still climbing. I think I'll always remain climbing in the sense of growth and knowledge and skills. I'm a student of the game. I love all things related to food. I love the technicality behind it. I like the artistry behind it. I love the community building that comes from it. And I think in terms of that end of it, I'll always be climbing because there's always something to learn. There's always people to grow with and to grow from and to teach. I have a passion for teaching and mentorship. But in terms of success and as accolades and whatnot, that's out of my control. So I'm very blessed and I'm very happy with all the recognition I've ever got. It's very much a team effort. I'm not trying to sound give the PC answer with that. It's, I know I work really hard for everything that I've received and everything I've been recognized for. But I don't think I would have got to this place unless I had the favor that I've gotten from a lot of people that have been my leaders and my bosses, from having amazing employees and coworkers who have helped me along the way, and a great friend group that's been there for me and support. So I think for sure I'm still climbing and growing. I don't see a plateau, but I also I truly love what I do.
Yeah.
And I've never done it with any expectation of getting nominated for like a James Beard Award, or actually, like when I started the cafe, I thought that stuff would like kind of go away because I'm like, they're not going to like look at what I'm doing here,
Mm-hmm.
and this would be James Beard worthy, or recognized by like Charlotte Mag, or even Savor Charlotte and stuff like that. So being where I'm at, like enjoying what I'm doing and loving what I'm doing and the people that I'm working with and getting recognized, it's just kind of been like icing on top. So if that continues, that's great. If it doesn't, I'm still enjoying life.
Yeah, and you can hear the passion in your voice, and I look forward to learning more as we continue to talk about Community Matters Cafe. We do want to remind everybody this episode of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show is sponsored by the Carolina Barbecue Festival, coming up April 17th and 18th in Charlotte's Victoria Yards. Tickets on sale right now, CarolinaBBQFest.org. Use promo code Low and Slow, all caps. You'll get a discount on your passes. It's Friday night's kickoff. There'll be tastings from 5 Charlotte barbecue spots around the region. Saturday's main event has 25 plus pitmaster stations offering all your favorite barbecue bites. I was just talking with Kyle. I met him at the kickoff last year and had some great samples there. You can meet the guys there, kickoff or Saturday. Visit CarolinaBBQFest.org for tickets. You can get more details as well at our website, lowslowbbqshow.com. We got details about the festival along with menu updates and pitmaster lineups. And while you're visiting the Low and Slow Barbecue Show online, sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Lowdown. We'll share the latest news from the Carolina Barbecue Festival and the barbecue festival scene. In fact, in that newsletter, we launched our latest blog. It's all about the Carolina Barbecue Festival's barbecue brunch, brisket and biscuits. Find the blog, lowslowbbqshow.com. You'll see the chefs and the pitmasters, and of course, our guest today, Kyle Johnson, executive chef at Community Matters Cafe. So, Chef, tell us all about Community Matters Cafe, and I want you to tell us both sides of the story. I know there's a food service business piece there in Charlotte, but then there's also a community service asset for our Queen City there. Start by telling me about the food side of it. What's the Community Matters Cafe restaurant?
Yeah, so Community Matters Cafe, we are the byproduct of the Charlotte Rescue Mission. The cafe acts as a secondary transition portion of the main program of the Charlotte Rescue Mission. So men and women, and I'll go into more details about Charlotte Rescue Mission, but men and women who are going through recovery from substance abuse, after they go through their core rehabilitation and training, they have the choice of rejoining or continuing their education through the Café or life skills program that we have. And through that, they will take like an actual like classroom setting of life skills classes of relearning proper forms of communication, how to deal with their stressors, their triggers, learning how to be self-reliant, but also learning how to be problem solvers and team players and working within community. Basically, we like to say they're relearning all the aspects of how to live life without the use of drugs and alcohol, and returning stronger and better than they were before. So they learn these situations in a classroom, but then they get to transition into the cafe where they actually get to practice it. So we're an additional 6-month program where every man and woman who's in the program get to work in the cafe. There'll be a host, there'll be a barista, a line cook, a prep cook, a dishwasher, a busser, a server, and a pastry assistant. And all those elements of working in hospitality, because as anyone who's in hospitality knows, it can be a really stressful environment.
Yeah.
They get to learn and practice those life skills in a real world environment. Whereas before, like they'll finish the recovery program and they just might go out into the world that's not conducive for their new lifestyle of what they're living. And something might come up that's triggering for them, or where they haven't had to practice it, and they might get fired or let go or removed from their lease, or so on and so forth. Whereas now, like they have trained staff who's not only trained and professional in training them on these soft skills of working in a restaurant and a coffee shop, but also with the elements of their sobriety and their mental and emotional health, and in some cases, physical health. They also all have their own counselors. They have their own therapists. So they're able to have issues come up and be trained through it in real time while also working in the process of like maintaining a job, maintaining a work-life balance, staying on top of their meetings, their physical and their mental and their emotional health. Um, and the beautiful part of it is that through the cafe and restaurant operates like any other cafe or restaurant, except all the proceeds. If you come and you buy any of my food, you come and you buy a coffee, drink, merch, anything goes directly back into our students. We're 100% nonprofit. 100% of our profit from the cafe goes into supporting our students. We take care of their housing. We take care of their transportation. We take care of all their legal fees, their medical fees, childcare if need be, so they can fully, in those 6 months, focus on their recovery. And then also after that, once they graduate the program, we help them in their resume building, job placement, aftercare living, and we continue to actually give them stipending and medical and legal benefits with, I think, within 2 years after they graduate as well, to help them maintain staying on their feet, building back their financial situation, and also just recognizing that there's still community that's there for them. Like even once they graduate, that they're not alone. That it's bigger than just that. They build community in the restaurant. They build community of the people that come and dine in. We have so many guests and regulars that like get to know the students' names. Our graduations that we have for them, like it's a really fun experience where it's like a high school or college graduation, and the public gets to come in and join as like they get to feel special. On top of like they get to train with like real professionals, like they get the same training as my line cooks would get, as any of the baristas would get, and a lot of them leave with a lot of skills and go on and work at really nice restaurants in Charlotte and outside of Charlotte.
Yeah, can you get a feel for the level of success for folks going out and finding placement and continued sobriety and persevering, and particularly as compared to folks that maybe don't go through that level of training? You mentioned, the restaurant business is stressful, life is stressful, making rent and all those other types of things can certainly serve as triggers for some folks in that type of scenario. What's the level of success, or can you gauge that?
Yeah. So actually, so the Rest Commission of itself, the cafe has been around for 7 years. We opened in April of 2019. Charlotte Rest Commission has been around. I think we'll be celebrating 87 years this April as well. This April or this March. And so the cafe came about because they saw that need of that transition. Because I think, and I hope if I'm off of any of the numbers, I'll fact check myself later. But I believe between 2014 and 2019, they saw like over 70% of the students that were graduating the program, our specific program, our main recovery program, were relapsing within the first 3 months afterwards. So we wanted a secondary program to help them better prepare for after they leave. So after the cafe, we've had over 400 students come through the cafe program in the last 7 years.
Wow.
And we've had over 280 students graduate the program and remain sober within the first year continually after graduating. And obviously we've not been able to keep up with every single student that's graduated the program. Some leave out of the state. Some just break contact. But out of those, the ones that we have kept up with, 280 remain sober within the first year of that. And even with those, that other almost 200 plus that did not, and overall statistics of programs of men and women staying sober afterward, that still meets way above the national average. And we really do think the extra 6 months of training, of life skills, of being able to work customer facing with the community and being slowly integrated back in is a huge impact of people's continued success, of not just the 12 steps are very important within our program. Going to your meetings is very important, but how are you integrating back in a community? Are you actually putting the things? Have you had practice putting in the elements of what you learned in a real life situation for when they happen? Or are you just memorizing a book? So we have been able to see it. We've been able to hire back Like some of our students who graduate our program are now full-time staff
Wow.
in the cafe and in the rescue mission. So I think that in of itself can speak for itself.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, these programs are benefiting the participants in their life outside of a graduation there. How do you feel like the program benefits the larger Charlotte and community, number one? And number two, is there room for similar programs elsewhere in Charlotte?
Yeah, so I think it benefits the outside community in a couple of ways. One, I think it makes people recognize how close they actually are to the issues that addiction brings. I think if anyone as an individual is living a happy, healthy, blessed life, right, and you pass the guy or the lady on the street who's homeless, who's begging for money, or you see the drunk on the corner, and we've all seen that, or we have that family member, right, who's like has like, is a high functioning alcoholic, right? Um, every single one of our students in this program, they were who we are at one point, right? And there's just so many life experiences that can set a person down the wrong way. I mean, it can be like the stereotypical route where someone grew up in poverty and ended up in homelessness or in jail, whether it's based on other people's decisions or their own decisions, and got or a traumatic experience and got hooked on drugs or alcohol, right? But I think we always forget that, like, it's not everyone has the same story. I mean, the youngest you can come into our program is 18. There's no age limit,
Okay.
right? You just have to be old. You have to be a legal adult to be able to enter yourself into the program. But I mean, we had a young girl who came in on her 18th birthday, who came from a very loving, very well-off family, and just fell in with the wrong crowd. I had a businessman, like a very successful corporate businessman, who came to the program once because he had a back injury and got hooked on painkillers. We had a Vietnam vet come in where this was his last straw for himself, where this was his first time being sober for longer than a month since he was 16, and he was in his 70s when he came into our program. So like addiction has no face. Like addiction can look like or feel like and seem like anybody and anything in any situation. And most of us are really only like, this is a phrase I heard once from one of our residents years ago. He told me that most of us were only like 2 or 3 decisions, whether it was decisions that we make or other people make, from being in the same place that they are. Like none of them go in expecting to ever be an addict. And I think, rounding it back out, like I think like this really shows the community that comes in and dines with us when they recognize like, oh, these are, like, I hate to say like this, but they're normal people. Like I think oftentimes we can be in a mind of judgment, whether conscious or subconsciously, looking at them in other ways, where it's like, oh, like, they're not, like, they're a little lesser than, right? I think like sometimes we can fall into that trap. I was definitely guilty of it. But once you're working with these people, you're seeing these people, you're talking with them, you're like, oh no, these are our neighbors, right? This is somebody's dad, somebody's mom, brother, sister, friend, cousin, uncle, right? And they didn't want to be like this. And I think with what we're doing at the cafe, and where these are the people that are serving you, these are people that you're taking your coffee order, these are people that are clearing your plate, these are people that are checking you out and talking to you at the host stand. It's impossible to avoid that now. And I think it really does bridge the gap a lot. We've had so many amazing customers who, like, because of that, who now gives a lot of donations, or who have businesses who hire our students in their own businesses now. And again, continuing that cycle of building the community. And now we had someone who, I'm not going to disclose the company, but who hired somebody years ago, early in the years of our program. They've done so well where they're a manager there now, and they come back and will specifically interview and hire our students in the program. And it's just created that a beautiful cycle of continued community.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the cafe side of it, the food piece, I've looked at the menu here on the website, communitymatterscafe.com, and you can kind of click in there and get the menu. It's a breakfast and lunch service for the folks that are visiting Community Matters Cafe. Kyle, tell me, what are you trying to accomplish with the menu? What are your thoughts when you're putting something like that together? Because there's some breakfast staples, and then there's some, what I think may be some Kyle character in some of those entree selections.
Yeah, so I kind of like just go about to try to tell a story. I'm a storyteller at heart. I'm a huge nerd. Like I grew up reading comic books and being enthralled in like Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and stuff like that. So I
Oh
just
yeah.
I love the idea of like world building and stories, and so I always like kind of struggled as a kid of like communicating it in a way that everybody else understood.
Hmm.
And so like growing up, like I felt like when I kind of started getting into food, I felt like, oh, I can tell story through food. Like I can tell my story through food. So that's what I try to do. And I love my story. Like I love like the fact that I'm from New Orleans.
Mhm.
And it's funny, until I moved up to Charlotte, I didn't realize how culturally impactful New Orleans was, because that's all I was a part of.
Right.
So I never like, I thought, it's just crazy to say now, I kind of thought New Orleans was like boring. I'm like, oh, I just want to move out of here and try something else. And then no shots at Charlotte, but then I came to Charlotte. I'm like, oh no, like New Orleans was far from boring.
You didn't know how good you had it.
Yeah, like so, and like even from like my grandmother, seeing like her culture, my grandmother's like more Creole culture, and like seeing all the things that I learned from her, and now implementing them in what I do. And like my background was like very refined. Like I told you, like I started culinary school when I was 12, at a really famous like art school in New Orleans, called NOCA. And it was like I learned all the fundamentals of like all the classics of French and Italian cuisine and international cuisine. It was actually a Johnson Wales curriculum that we did. So I finished technically like my associates in culinary arts by the time I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then continued my education at Johnson Wales because I won a scholarship. And so like a lot of my background was fine dining and refinement, but rooted in like Cajun and Creole cuisine.
Okay.
And then I was able to do an internship at a famous Middle Eastern restaurant in New Orleans that made me fall in love with Middle Eastern, Northern African cuisine. So now at the cafe, I'm like, okay, like what is a way that I can tell the story of like my experiences and my loves of my culture and other cultures that I've learned, that one, the students can imitate, because the students are doing a lot of the cooking, they're doing a lot of the serving. And I have like full-time staff and professionals on my staff too, but the whole purpose is to teach these students things.
Sure.
Like, all right, they need to be able to execute it. I need to be able to still be proud of whatever I put out, right? And I still want to continue to tell my story of my food. So like you'll always see elements of like, even if it's in or set in the dish alone or not, like you'll see elements of Creole or Cajun cuisine. You'll see elements of like, whether it's like Moroccan or Israeli or Egyptian or Palestinian or Jordanian food in what I do. And or just like also the local, like I've fallen in love with like the ingredients of the Carolinas, right? Like it is just so vast. If there's any state in the country, right, that I think gets overlooked in terms of like the availability of ingredients and seasonal ingredients that we have, I think it's North and South Carolina. I mean, we're right next to the mountains. We're right next to the ocean, right? We're far enough south where we get an amazing selection of like more southern staples of ingredients, wildlife, and we're also up north enough too where we still get like we grow apples in the Carolinas, right?
Yeah.
But we can also grow like satsumas and pawpaw fruit,
Right.
right? So like again, it's just so amazing. I love to be able to highlight that, but I'll always highlight North Carolina grown ingredients or produce through what I know in Cajun Creole and Middle Eastern cuisine. So I try to always portray that, and I change my menu like 4 or 5 times a year based on whatever my farmers have available.
Yeah, that's a great insight there. I've heard your comments about using food to tell a story, and one of the things I think I saw was that few food dishes don't have a story behind it, right? So if I'm looking at Kyle Johnson, and what if you're a food dish? What would that dish be, and what would the story? How would it tell your story?
A food dish in general, or a food dish on my menu right now?
Well, a food dish for you that represents you.
I would give 2. One is definitely gumbo.
Okay.
One, because there's no like specific recipe for gumbo, right? You go down to New Orleans, everybody and their mama has a recipe for gumbo, and not one of them are the same.
Right.
Right. And they're all good. Most of them are good. But like I would say the versatility of what gumbo has, the historical relevance, gumbo in history can be traced back to Middle and West African culture. It can actually, the word gumbo can come from the Swahili word kinambo, which is their word for okra, which is what they use as a thickening agent. And then it also be translated from the I'm forgetting the Native American tribe that was like Seminole Native American tribe. It can get translated from their word kumbo, which translates to sassafras, which is where we get filet powder. And so like that's also another thickening agent. So like again, the versatility, the cross-cultural references that come from gumbo, how it's translated over the centuries in the Americas. And yeah, like, and that's also what I grew up like. It was like, oh, when you hear about dishes like, red beans and rice on Mondays in New Orleans, that was a real thing. Like that was an experience that I had. And I didn't realize it was like outside of Louisiana, it was something that people talked about as like, not in a negative way, but as a trope, I say, or as something like as funny, but like that was what we grew up doing. And the same with the gumbo, like, oh, like, gumbo, you could eat it with rice, you could eat it without rice, you could eat it with, in Southeast Louisiana, we sometimes eat our gumbo with potato salad. Right. So I would like compare myself to like in a lot of ways, like as gumbo. But also like another big one is hummus. I love hummus.
Yeah, that's that Mideast piece, right?
Yeah. And like also like the different hummuses in the different parts of the Middle East. Like you can use thing in America, we look at it just as like chickpeas that we use. But hummus was when it was first created, which was in Northern Africa, like they used field peas to make hummus. So once you recognize all the different beans you can use, and there's so many different toppings, like hummus is a vessel to carry so many different things that they can tell so many different stories. So I would say like those two for sure are like the big ones that like really embody who I am and how I cook.
Yeah, I've heard you mention a couple of times here. You mentioned New Orleans and kind of Creole upbringing, your grandparents there, Black culture in Africa and some of these recipes. How important is it to you to tie what you're doing into your history and your heritage now that you're kind of forging a new story out into the future?
I think it's vital. I think it's incredibly important for the next generation after me too, because I want to give them that access to look at someone who had a similar pathway that they can follow as well, or something to inspire them with. Like, oh, I've never seen it done like that. That makes me think that I could do something differently too, or something similar. Like I give so much credit to a lot of the goats that came before me, that looked like me and didn't look like me. I'm so inspired by like people like Leah Chase. Leah Chase is one of my heroes. I was so blessed with being able to meet her before she passed as a kid, and what she did. And so she was so unapologetic about what she did, to people like Jose Andres, who has like World Central Kitchen. He's used his talent and love of food to literally save people's lives, around the world. To even like some of my mentors like Frank Brightson, Cornelia Singer in New Orleans, who was another chef that mentored me, to even like just friends or instructors and whatnot. Like I had those people above me to be able to like set a precedent. And like I said earlier, like I had so much favor, right? Like I know I'm good. I work hard at what I do and I'm good at it. But I'm like, guys, like I would not, it's not a bootstrap kind of situation, right? Like people helped me get to this point. People laid foundations to put me in the position to be successful. And I just did the most with what I had available with that. Like I didn't flaunder what people blessed me with. And so I want to be there to do that for others too. And a start of it is also making sure that I'm continuing to learn, continuing to grow, continuing to lay that foundation to people to follow. Because if I want the industry to get better, which I think it will, and I want it to, then I need to make sure that I'm always on my game.
Yeah. Great perspectives from you there. And Kyle, before we wrap up, we got to talk about barbecue here. This is a barbecue podcast. And I know, even in Creole country in New Orleans, that part of the world, there's some barbecue around. Well, what are your perspectives? What would you feel like your barbecue roots are?
It's really limited. Like in New Orleans, like the closest thing we have to us is Texas. So I grew up really loving Texas style barbecue, like heavy sauce, smoking was probably a larger element that we saw in New Orleans. So if we had any stylistic of barbecue, it would be like smoking. But I love, like, especially moving to Carolinas, it's impacted me a lot.
Right.
I love Sweet Lou's. I'm doing a collab with Lawrence Barbecue, which I also love. So I'm really excited about that.
Yep.
And really just like when I recognize like the technicality behind barbecue, like I think it's one of the true balances of using heat, like the mastery of a heat source with a protein or even not a protein necessarily, like a vegetable or a fruit. That's got me really excited. It's probably like one of the cooking techniques that I know the least about or I'm least skilled in, but I'm also the most interested in. So whenever I see like, somebody like, I pick Lewis Donald's brain a lot about
Okay.
like how he does things and whatnot
Hmm.
with it. Like, hey, what's your process with this? What are you looking for? How do you get a good ring on these things? Like that stuff, like I nerd out. Like I told you, I'm a student of the game. So I nerd out
Yeah.
about that stuff. So I'm really excited to work with Jake from Lawrence Barbecue,
Hmm.
and to do that collab. And also just kind of be around. Like I'm gonna try to pop up at a lot of these other events that they got going on because I want to see what everybody's doing. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, there's some similarities between, I guess, a good barbecue and a good gumbo. You got to start out low and slow, otherwise you burn your roux up there. You thicken it
Yep.
all along.
Oh, you know
There's
some
some
things.
steps
You
and
know some
techniques. I
stuff.
know a little bit about. Big fan of New
Yeah.
Orleans for sure. Have you started thinking about menu ideas for brunch? What would be a barbecue brunch collaboration? What does that look like?
So right now I've been talking with Jake. We're kind of looking at like, I love the utilization of like grits. There's a really popular dish in New Orleans called grits and grillade. That is traditionally like pork medallions that are like stewed down. And so we're kind of like trying to talk between like a really unique way of doing that. And I love adding like sweet things. So I love like a chow chow,
Okay.
right? Like a chow chow with the smoked meat and then like a grit or like a grit cake of some sort. So we're still working out the kinks of it, but like I think people are in for something really cool.
Going to be super cool. March 28th at Town Brewing Company in Charlotte. And as we kind of wrap it up here with Kyle Johnson from Community Matters Cafe, Kyle, I want to ask you, what does it mean to you to have it's got to be an impactful role in helping human beings create a sustainable life for themselves after, gosh, the most horrible times in their lives, no doubt. What does that mean to you to have such an important role in that?
It really means everything to me. And this is like um, without any exaggeration. Like it has been the most impactful thing to me in my life. I mean, I started this job as a kid, basically. I was 21. I think it was right after my 21st birthday when I started working here as a line cook. And like
Mm-hmm.
this company see me grow into a man. And I think a lot of that is from like being impacted by all of these stories and seeing other people like work through life. And I had a personal impact with it because my own grandfather was in active addiction. He was a World War II vet, and he struggled with alcoholism the majority of his life until he passed. And so when I saw the opportunity for the cafe to come about and to work there, I'm like, man, my first thought was, I really wish something was around like this for my grandfather. But now being able to be there for other people, for their grandparents, their mothers, their dads, their siblings, their friends, and to be a part of so many, like I've been a part of hundreds of people's stories over the last year, being able to positively impact them. But also they've positively impacted me in so many ways because they've
Yeah.
grown some stuff that I look at, I'm like, oh man, I don't think I would have made it. And to see what they've allowed people to help them with, because a big part of it is like what they allow, because it's hard, man. You got to humble yourself to be able to go through this program. And they did it, and to see so many like people from so many stages of life be successful from it, like it keeps me, no matter how bad a day or a service or whatever is, it does keep me inspired to show up for these students every single day.
Wonderful message, Kyle. We've taken so much of your time. You've been so generous. I appreciate that. I want to allow you an opportunity. You've talked about things I can tell you have a great passion about. Have we missed anything? What's something we haven't covered you want our audience to know?
Well, like I said earlier, like come and support the cafe. Every dime you spend here goes directly back to our students. I believe that we serve some really, really good food on top of being able to support a really good cause. And I have my own event coming up through the cafe. It's called History and Homage. That is my love letter to historical Black culture and Black foodways. That me and a friend, Brandon Staten from Supperland, started 7 years ago, actually, or 6 years ago. We're doing our sixth dinner. And we bring in a bunch of different Black chefs, and it's a different theme every year. This theme is Black cookbooks, or finding Black written cookbooks between the 1870s and the 1970s. And we're paying respect to those chefs that made them, and we're giving our own rendition of it. But each year is a different theme, and same thing, all the money and proceeds go back to the cafe and the rescue mission. But it's our way of like showcasing Black culture and Black history through food, through a lot of chefs and individuals that we feel like didn't get their flowers during their time while they were here.
Very cool. How can people find out about it? I want to hook people up.
Yeah, so if you go on the Community Matters website, we'll have a pop-up that comes up that'll show tickets for our History and Homage dinner. You can also follow us on our Instagram, History and Homage, at History and Homage. And just be on the lookout for more dinners and more pop-ups throughout the year.
Follow Community Matters Cafe on Instagram. We got a lot of people here. I see it. There's an ad up for it, History and Homage. February 21st at Community Matters Cafe. We'll keep that in the news loop for our Lowdown subscribers as well. Kyle Johnson, thank you so much for joining the Low and Slow Barbecue Show today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Carolina Barbecue Festival, April 17th and 18th in Charlotte's Victoria Yards. While you're getting your barbecue brunch ticket to see Kyle and all the other chefs at Barbecue Brunch, be sure to reserve your tickets for the Carolina Barbecue Festival. It's carolinabbqfest.org. Remember, use the promo code Low and Slow and you'll get a discount. The Barbecue Brunch, March 28th. Town Brewing Company in Charlotte, is presented in conjunction with Savor Charlotte and Charlotte's Got a Lot. Get details there for charlottesgotalot.com. Thanks so much for listening to our audience. If you like what you hear, share our podcast with our food-loving friends, and please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream. For more interviews with pitmasters and chefs with the Carolina Barbecue Festival, the Barbecue Brunch, or all across the Carolinas, just visit lowslowbbqshow.com. You'll find our blog with festival and event details. You can sign up for our newsletter. Lots of great stuff that comes to you every week. The Low and Slow Barbecue Show is proud to be a part of the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. That's where our producer Andrew Moose makes us sound good every episode. Thanks so much, Mr. Moose. For the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, I'm Chigger Willard, reminding you that for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.